Welcome to the Strenuous Life Radio, the podcast for men and women, leaders, entrepreneurs, and leaderpreneurs desiring to know the specialties and soft skills of the strenuous life. Okay, guys, we're going to be talking about leadership today, and we're going to go back to a favorite of ours, Terri Savelle Foy. So here in a little bit, we'll bring her back.
Years ago, I heard somebody make a statement that made such a profound impact on my life, and this was it. They said somebody else could take the same hand you've been dealt and win. Somebody else could take the same situation, the same problems, the same obstacles that you're faced with right now, and they could succeed. And when I heard that statement, somebody else could take my situation and succeed, it dramatically opened my eyes. And here's why. When I was told that phrase, I had just been handed the position as CEO for Terri Savelle Ministries, and at the time, overseeing offices in the USA, Canada, the United Kingdom, Africa, Australia, South Africa, and Singapore. And we actually had a branch office in Botswana, so technically 8 offices. And here I was handed that huge responsibility, never been a leader in that capacity before. I have a degree in French, a minor in communication studies, and somebody said someone else could take the same hand you've been dealt and win. Well, I recently wrote a book called The Leader's Checklist, and this is basically my life in a nutshell of how I became an effective leader. I was in a place of going, what do I do? Where do I start? And hearing a statement like that somebody else could take your situation and succeed, that caused me to think, well, how? What do I do? And immediately I began reading books, and one of the first phrases I ever heard was this: everything rises and falls on leadership. And I thought, everything? Are you sure everything? Then I heard this statement, and I added this in the first part of my book because it is so powerful. Listen to this. This is from John Maxwell's Developing the Leader Within You, and I quoted him in my book. He said that during a sales meeting, the manager was getting on to his staff for how dismally low their sales figures were. He said, I have had just about enough poor performance and excuses from you. He said, if you can't do the job, perhaps there's other people out there who would jump at the chance to sell the worthy products that you have the privilege to share. He said, then he pointed to a newly recruited, retired pro football player. He said, hey, if a football team isn't winning, what happens? The players are replaced, right? The question hung heavy for a few seconds. The football player answered, actually, sir, if the whole team's having trouble, we usually get a new coach. Everything rises and falls on leadership. I would read stuff like that, and it would start to scare me that I had that much responsibility on me. Then I heard this story, and it was about how John Maxwell had lunch with a friend who would actually go into resorts when they were starting to fail. They were about to, go under. He would go into these resorts, and he said he would always do 2 things. Listen to this. He said whenever they came into an organization to take it over, they always started by doing 2 things. First, they trained all the staff to improve their level of customer service. And second, they fired the leader. John Maxwell said, what? You always fire him every time? He said, yep, every time. John said, you don't interview him and find out if he'd really been a good leader? He said, nope. If he'd been a good leader, the organization wouldn't be in the mess it's in.
Now you think about it, okay? You think about it. I'll bring back Terri Savelle Foy here in a few minutes. See, I agree with motivational speaker Dan Clark. It's not all about team. It's about winning. And whether that leader is making people win. Okay? Because I'm going to tell it to you. I'm going to give it to you straight. Teams lose, Dallas Cowboys. Teams lose, my Texas Tech Red Raiders. So think about it. The football team loses and has a low performance. season after season, after a little while, it's time to get a new coach. And why? Because that coach has to be a leader. A leader. If you're living a stringless life, you need to be leaders. All of you. And who do you think is the most successful leader of all? Jesus Christ. And with that, here comes Terri Savelle Foy.
So I'm reading stuff like that, and fear is coming all over me, and I'm thinking, wait a minute. This organization's going to succeed or fail because of me, my leadership? Then I heard T.D. Jakes say, if you have a pastor who has the capacity to lead 100 people, and you give him a church of 1,000 people, he will lose 900 people. At the same time, he said if you have a pastor who has the capacity to lead 1,000 people, you give him 100 people, he will gain 900 people. Everything rises and falls on your ability to lead. So, I wrote the leader's checklist for anyone who's desiring to be a leader, or your future involves leadership in the...
Okay. Now, I'm going to pause this a little bit, and then I'm going to find some words of a leading theologian in my church. All right. But here's the problem with that theory in some ways. About 2 years ago, I was sitting down with family members. And my nephew at the time owned a oil change and I think auto repair business. And he said, for those in my organization, I am the leader and they have to do what I say. Okay. In a roundabout way, that is true. But my concept of leadership is slightly different. What is a leader but a great disciple? But see, here's the problem. The devil don't want you to hear that. He don't want you to. He don't want you to know true concepts of leadership. He don't want you to know, so he's going to shut down. He's going to shut it down. Because our reactive culture has forgotten what leadership really means. Think about it. It's always, follow us, come celebrate with us, come wallow with us on social media. The doctrine of ignoble ease. I kind of like to see leadership as teamwork. That's what my maternal grandfather, that's the way he raised me with his business. He gave the orders. But he gave the people the impression that he was part of a team. See, that's the thing. Some people can really be out there when it comes to what their concept of what leadership is. They much rather take what is the traditional, unconventional model of leadership that I talk about in my book, The Winning Personality, a values-based approach to entrepreneurship in this economy. They want to take that traditional model that I talk about and burn it and replace it with management. Just being a worker bee, okay? A cog in the system. What's a cog in the system? What is that really all about? The doctrine of ignoble ease. But the problem is, I think far too many people fall for the doctrine of ignoble ease. Even some of the best entrepreneurs. They have cynical attitudes, sour attitudes. And that don't get you nowhere. I don't know why. I was working on some stuff with my best friend. And I had some sour attitudes about stuff in my past. And And he kind of corrected me, and he said, Jimmy, you don't have time for that. We got stuff to do. You got stuff to do. And so that's true. I've recently got an account on Teachable, and I've been doing my best to launch Juris Destiny Academy, Hendrick Juris Destiny Academy, get it up and running, get it accredited, hopefully by Texas Tech School of Law, get things done, and hopefully draw people towards Juris Destiny Academy, and by leading Mastermind, Empower Your Pattern. But see, the thing is, leadership is important. John Maxwell is right. Everything rises and falls on influence, on leadership, okay? And here's something else, too. Listen to this. The essence of leadership is influence. Nothing more and nothing less. You got a problem with that? Why are you listening to me if you got a problem with that? Because we of the Strenuous Life Radio family, we're a firm believer in influencing people for good. Hope you've enjoyed listening to the Strenuous Life Radio. If you like what you hear, please subscribe. Become a part of the Strenuous Life Radio family. This is Jimi Hendrix saying, do what others don't so you can be what others won't. Do what others don't so you can have what others can't. And don't sit there and take it. Build your dreams so you can take it. And you think strong. And you live strong. And you live the strenuous life. Have a blessed day.